TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations.
Shalom and good evening. I am Mayan Hassan, and this is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. Israel launches Operations Gideon's Chariot against the Islamist Hamas in the Gaza Strip. In response to the Houthis' ballistic missile fire, the Israeli Air Force strikes at multiple targets in Yemen. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres continues to refuse to provide the Gazan population with humanitarian aid. Israel will not stand idly by while its enemies attack it in blatant belligerence, nor will it yield its resolve to achieve its war objectives against the Islamist Hamas terror group, with chief focus on returning its 58 hostages from the Gaza Strip. Following 4 consecutive attacks in which the Iranian proxy Ansar Allah, which is dominated by a Houthi tribe in Yemen, launched ballistic missiles indiscriminately in the direction of Israel, the Israeli Air Force launched yet another aerial attack against Yemen, over 2,200 kilometers from Israeli territory.
I am here in the pit of the Air Force with the Minister of Defense, the Chief of Staff, the Commander of the Air Force, and our excellent teams. Our pilots have now successfully attacked 2 Houthi terror ports again, and this is just the continuation, and there will be more to come. We are not willing to sit on the sidelines and let the Houthis harm us. We will harm them much more, including their leadership, including all the infrastructure that allows them to harm us.
Following in Netanyahu's stance, Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz warned the Iranian-backed Houthi commander, Abdel Malik al-Houthi, that any attack on Israel would doom him to a fate similar to the one Israel dealt to the slain leaders of Hamas and Hezbollah.
The IDF attacked and severely damaged ports in Yemen that are under the control of the Houthi terrorist organization. Congratulations to the Air Force for the wonderful performance. As we said, if the Houthis continue to fire missiles at the state of Israel, they will be severely damaged and the leaders will also be harmed, just as we did to Deif and the Sin Wars in Gaza, to Nasrallah in Beirut, and to Haniyeh in Tehran, so we will also do to Abdel Malik al-Houthi in Yemen. We will continue to defend ourselves with our own strength against any enemy.
In the aftermath of the strike against the Houthis, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu stressed that the terror organization is merely a symptom of a much larger disease, referring to Iran, that will also face consequences in the not-too-distant future.
We also know that the Houthis are a symptom. The one who stands behind them, the one who gives them the support, the instructions, the approval, is Iran. The Houthis will pay a very heavy price, and we will defend ourselves in all the ways necessary to maintain the security of the State of Israel. Congratulations to the Air Force, congratulations to the ground crews, congratulations to the IDF. Onward.
It is important to note that following the Israeli airstrike, which devastated 3 additional posts in Yemen that the Iranian proxy Ansar Allah utilized for the purpose of sustaining its terror-related activities, the Houthis launched 2 additional ballistic missiles towards Israel.
The missile force of the Yemeni armed forces carried out a qualitative military operation targeting Lod Airport, which the Israelis call Ben Gurion Airport, in the occupied area of Jaffa, using 2 ballistic missiles, one of which was a hypersonic Palestine II missile, and the other a Zulfikar missile. The operation successfully achieved its goal, thanks to God, and caused millions of occupying Zionists to rush to shelters and air traffic at the airport to stop for about an hour. Earlier yesterday morning, the UAV force of the Yemeni armed forces carried out a military operation targeting Lod Airport using a Jaffa drone.
In contrast to claims of success, Israel's aerial defense array intercepted one of the incoming ballistic missiles, while the other fell short, with reports indicating that the projectile fell within territory of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Meanwhile, in the Iraqi capital of Baghdad, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres once again condemned Israel for its refusal to abandon its 58 hostages, which Hamas continues to hold captive in the Gaza Strip. while further reiterating the United Nations' firm stance that it will not assist in delivering humanitarian aid to the non-combatant population of Gaza unless the UN dictates the term of its distribution.
I am alarmed by reported plans by Israel to expand ground operations and more. And I emphasize that the United Nations will not participate in any so-called aid operation that does not adhere to international law and humanitarian principles of humanity, impartiality, independence, and neutrality. And I reiterate my appeal for the urgent and full support of UNRWA's work, including financial support. We reject the repeated displacement of the Gaza population, and we obviously reject any question of forced displacement outside of Gaza.
To the assumed dismay of the Secretary General of the United Nations, Israel has begun distributing humanitarian aid to the civilian population of the Gaza Strip upon the advisory of IDF Chief of General Staff Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir. Moreover, in accordance with directives of Jerusalem Security Cabinet, the IDF has officially announced Operation Gideons Chariots.
I'm here near the Gaza border, in the Zikim area. The IDF, led by Southern Command, has begun Operation Gideons Chariots in accordance with the directives of the political echelon. This operation is aimed at achieving all the objectives of the war in Gaza, the return of the hostages and the dismantling of Hamas rule. It's important to emphasize, we are prepared to adapt ourselves to any development. We are entering a new phase in fighting, transitioning from Operation Might and Sword to Operation Gideons Chariots. This operation is part of the Swords of Iron War. As part of the activity, we will increase operational control in the Gaza Strip, including dividing the territory and distancing the population for its safety in all areas where we operate. As I've said before, we are advancing according to a structured and gradual plan. This plan incorporates the operational lessons learned from the combat so far.
IDF spokesman Brigadier General Efi Defrin continued by revealing some of the details with regard to the operation. However, he also stressed that the policy of ambiguity will be implemented to limit the enemy's ability to comprehend and counteract the IDF's operational activities.
Over the past few nights, we initiated preliminary strikes, and currently, 5 divisions are operating in the Gaza Strip. The operation has 3 core principles. First, achieving operational control in the areas where we operate, clearing those areas of enemy presence and striking terror infrastructure both above and below ground. Second, distancing the civilian population for its safety from the areas in which we are operating, while weakening Hamas control. The final principle is targeting Hamas command and control system, striking its commanders and remaining capabilities until its military and governmental collapse. Unlike in the past, we are now concentrating offensive efforts in the Gaza Strip and carrying out strikes aimed at achieving decisive outcomes in the areas where we operate. In recent weeks, we declared that the IDF was preparing to launch a broad operation as long as Hamas remained entrenched in its position and continued to hold hostages. That threat is now being realized.
General Defrin further underscored that the IDF is conducting its renewed high-intensity operation in close consultation with the hostage and missing persons headquarters to ensure that no harm comes to the hostages as a result of the offensive.
The operation is conducted in full coordination with the hostage and missing persons headquarters. We are doing everything possible to prevent harm to the hostages. They are always before our eyes. We will not rest until they return. In order to maintain the security of the troops, I cannot disclose further details at this time. I repeat, the ambiguity is a tactic. We will not share our plans with Hamas. They will see our actions on the ground. We act as a protective shield in front of the civilians everywhere, and we will continue to do so. The IDF operates decisively to achieve the objectives of the war. Earlier today, the Chief of the General Staff held a situational assessment with the commanders of the 162nd Division, not far from here, in the Gaza Strip. The Chief of the General Staff emphasized to the soldiers that we will know how to adapt to any development. We are moving forward, and the only thing that can stop us is the return of our hostages. It's important to emphasize that the IDF will provide the political echelon with all necessary flexibility to bring the hostages back.
It is important to highlight that while Operation Gideon's Chariot is underway, a senior Israeli delegation is present in the Qatari capital of Doha, where negotiations are taking place in efforts to achieve the release of additional hostages from Hamas captivity. Meanwhile, in other news, Vice President J.D. Vance is due to travel to Israel tomorrow, after attending the new Pope's inauguration ceremony in Rome. The White House is currently holding talks to set up meetings between the American Vice President and top Israeli political officials. Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. I would like to encourage you to take a moment to pray for the 58 hostages in Hamas captivity, in addition to the IDF troops operating the Gaza Strip, and for the peace of Jerusalem. Separately, if you've been blessed by TV7 Israel, which is exclusively funded by our viewers, please consider supporting our productions with a donation. You can do so at our website, www.tv7israelnews.com. I am Ayan Hessen, wishing you a Shavua Mevorach, and we will see you during our next update. Until then, Shalom from Jerusalem.